Hello, good evening. Sorry we're late. This is COP UK Radio. You tuned in to the Community Welfare Matters segment. Today, our topic is sickle cell. My name is Mrs. Minta, Tracy Minta, or you can call me Mati. I've got here Auntie Dorothy. My apologies again that we're late. Technical issues, but it's been resolved now. And so call somebody to tell somebody that we are on, and I think this is a very important topic. And I will invite Auntie Dorothy in now to just start us off because we're already late. So Auntie Dorothy, yeah,
are talking about sickle cell
we'll start.
disease,
Yeah,
and this is one of the illnesses that is very common in our community,
black community. Yeah,
black community
yeah,
especially because the research says that 1 in 4
yeah.
in West Africa, people 1 in 4 people have got sickle cell,
Yeah.
a trait, or they have got the full sickle cell. And if you are Caribbean, 1 in 6 people have got sickle cell.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the people from the Mediterranean, the Indian people, they tend to have more thalassemia than sickle cell.
Yeah.
Which we will talk about thalassemia another time, but today we are talking about sickle cell. And they 1 in 10
Yeah.
do have thalassemia or sickle thalassemia. And the Arabs, 25% of them who do have sickle cell thalassemia. So we are talking about something that affects a massive lot of people.
People, yeah.
And it's something that also we live in a country where, yes, medical people do know about it, but they don't tend to understand it very well. And therefore, sometimes you get people going to hospital with sickle cell and they don't feel that they've been listened to properly because people can't understand how much pain that person will be in. And sometimes people don't understand the treatment choice that's been offered to them. So it's really, really important that we look at it, that sickle cell is an illness that is inherited. Yeah, that means that the person will have something wrong with the blood that they are producing, and that's what I'm saying, the protein, the hemoglobin part of it. And every healthy person, the hemoglobin part is round. If you look at it under a microscope, it's a round cell that moves around. The blood that gives the blood the red color. But when you have got sickle cell, it becomes a C shape.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the C shape that is known as the sickle. That's why it's called half moon shape. And that stops the body oxygenating, because if you go round, you see the surface is bigger. If you go C shape, the surface is smaller. So the amount of oxygen that goes around the body gets reduced because you've got sickle cell. Yeah. And also because the amount of oxygen gets reduced, it also sometimes blocks up the arteries, giving the person pain. And sometimes because the chest, we will look at some of the symptoms, but there are a lot of symptoms that comes with when someone has got sickle cell. And I think that the one thing is that if you have got parents or two people, you mentioned about the marriage, if two people are getting married, apart from checking everything, it's really important on health promotion aspect to check your sickling state. And often the normal blood test doesn't detect that for you. You might need to tell your GP that you want electrophoresis, where they check, or you tell your GP, I want to know whether I've got sickle cell. Then they will do that. Anyone who's had operation in this country, they will do that test before. If you're a black person, especially black West African, they will have done the test before they put you under anesthesia, because
they don't do that
they will do it all the time, but they will not tell you.
Don't tell you. Okay.
Yeah, but you need to. So they have to do that, because when you are going to anesthetize someone, you need to know how much oxygen they are carrying in their blood. And if you're going to anesthetize someone with sickle cell and you don't check whether they've got sickle cell, the possibility of you not giving them the right anesthesia is there. So often anesthetists will say, no, if it hasn't been done, I want to check. I need to know the sickling state. So it's done, but often they don't tell you. Yeah, it's really important. If you are to check that, if you're a young person getting married, because that the health promotion aspect is that you stop you from getting married to someone. I know you fall in love, but think also about the problems, because with the Jewish community, they also have got this inherited disease called Tay-Sachs, and that is what they've done to cut it down. Yeah, because they Tay-Sachs disease.
How do you spell that? T-H, yeah?
Tay-Sachs. And it's a very common illness, the degenerative illness in the Jew community. So what they have done since 1960s is that my child is marrying to your child. Yeah. They will ask them, they want to get married, they will ask them to do a blood test. Yeah. If they realize that you are carrying the gene and that person is carrying the gene, you're not getting married. They stop them from getting married. Yeah. So by doing that, gradually, it's weeding out the Tay-Sachs. It happens, but now the occurrence is becoming very, very low. So no, but it's child. Yeah, and also the two of you, your future children, and the stress that it can cause. So for health and safety reasons, we need to be doing that as well, not just checking anything. We need to be checking the sickling state of each other before we get married, and then produce a child who's got sickle cell with the pain and everything. If you know for sure that you have got it, and that's why I say to people, if you decide that to go ahead, even though you have got a trait and your partner has got a trait, then you know you are getting into something that you know, so you're more prepared. It's the people who get pregnant and then they are tested and they are told that, oh, you've got a trait in sickle cell. Bring your husband. And some men don't even want to go. And they say, well, why do they need my blood and whatever? Sometimes it's to check whether the possibility of that child, because if that child will have sickle cell, then definitely there is genetic counseling that follows that as well. And it's just that it's very debilitating to have a child who has got sickle cell. It's very, very, very,
who have sickle cell. To know that it could have been avoided.
Yeah.
That is really sad. And I'm just taking aback a bit about where you talk about the doctors needing to do that sickle cell before surgery. I'm really worried about that, because at least I know I've had 3 operations in this country.
Yeah,
nobody has ever asked me, and I've been under full anesthetic.
Yeah.
So it's very worrying for me, because if you're doing a sickle cell test, I know that I wasn't called in on reflection. I was never called in to go and do a blood test.
No,
They did the blood. They wouldn't have done the blood test there and then on the day I
went. On the day for surgery, if it is not on your
at the theater.
No, before you get to theater.
Yeah.
Once they say black African woman, man, whatever, the anesthetist will look through your notes to see whether they have done. They know your sickling state. If they don't know, a good practice says that they should come and talk to you and take the blood and go and do that.
Because I know somebody had surgery recently, and all the doctor asked us, is there any thalassemia?
Yeah.
And we said no. That's it.
That's it.
And
yeah.
They did the full anesthetic.
Yeah.
And then she had the operation.
Yeah.
So that's a worry for me.
Yeah.
It's really an eye opener.
Yeah. So people need to sort of ask their GPs, especially they do full blood count every year. Everyone is supposed to go there and have your what we call MOT.
Yeah.
And the GPs are paid Every patient on their list, you're paid to have a 1 year health check. And I feel that if you don't know your sickling state, it will be good time when you go to have your health check and say to your GP, I want you to do my sickling state. Because I bet you that those people who've had treatment, the GP would have had it on their system saying that it was done in hospital and this is your sickling state. Yeah? If they don't have it, you can ask the GP to do it and say, well, I need to know for myself so that when I get into any situation, because if you're a trait, you don't have any symptoms. The symptoms that people have with sickle cell is that they have the pain, and the pain can be joint pain. It can be chest pain. It can be chest pain. Some of them, when they do cut themselves, it takes a long time to heal because the oxygen level is not very, very good. And some people will have be anemic. Anemia is one of the biggest things with sickle cell because normal blood cells last for 120 days. When you've got sickle cell, the moon-shaped one don't last that long. So anemia is a big thing when you have got sickle cell to check your anemia. And often, like the last time I was talking to some people saying that, listen, apart from even then going to your GP, anemia makes you so tired. It makes you, sometimes you're sitting down there and you're falling asleep. Apart from other things, you don't have energy in the day to go and do your work. It's really important to get your GP to check, not even for sickle cell, to see whether you're anemic and therefore to for something to be done about it. So the biggest portion of it is the anemia that people have when they have got sickle cell. That stops them from doing that. And also, if you've got a child who you think has got children born here, if they've got sickle cell, the parents will be told by the time the child is 6 months to a year. Yeah? And my worry is that sometimes we send these children to school and we don't tell the teachers. If someone's got sickle cell, cold weather affects them, and hot water, very hot weather also affects them. So in school, sometimes the teachers need to know not to, when it's PE and it's very, very cold, not to allow that child to wear the PE kit to be out there because it will affect, it will start them having their crisis. And if it's very, very warm, and also encouraging the children or the person to drink more water. With the pain, for instance, some people, when it starts, it's mild, they can just take paracetamol or any codedromol. But when it's very, very serious, that's the person, even when you give them a warm bath, they can lie in a warm bath and see whether that helps them. But if it doesn't help and you have to take them to hospital, they need to go ASAP, right, for the treatment. The treatment that I want people to understand is that there is no point in you taking your child to hospital in that pain. And some children die because of the painkiller is given to them, or even some adults. Giving them diamorphine. Diamorphine is too strong for sickle cell. Sickle cell, the idea is that you give them pethidine, you give them some other tablet. That is not too strong. But because the pain is very, very strong, in this country, in Ghana, no one gives any child or any adult diamorphine for whatever, because they know how to handle sickle cell. Here, I know a young man who was given diamorphine who died from that diamorphine because of the morphine for that matter. The high strength medication. The person, and some people will have blood transfusion as the treatment. And sometimes parents don't understand that when they started off, they were giving, especially those who were with sickle thalassemia, for instance, will give blood transfusion. Blood is good, but when you have too much of it, you build up too much iron in your body, which is also becomes poisonous for you.
So if you talk about you're talking about treatment.
Yeah.
If we talk about, let's talk about the different types of the sickle cell.
Yeah.
That warrants specific treatment. So, for example, a certain type of
if you got
sickle cell will warrant blood transfusion, whereas another one will warrant just you taking
paracetamol. No, or depending upon how anemic the person is. Right. Yeah? But it tends to be that the people who've got sickle thalassemia tend to be more anemic than the straightforward sickle cell. Yeah? So if you're a trait, often you don't have any symptoms at all. So you'll be well, you don't have anything. Some you might not even know that you're a trait. Right. So you don't have any symptoms, so you're okay. It's those who have got a sickle cell who will be exhibiting the trait. Yeah? In some countries, I know for Italy, for instance, they tend to treat them with blood transfusion because when you dilute their blood or take some whatever, it helps them get in the round ones in their blood system, which is okay. It releases them from having more pain. But the problem is that the more blood they give to you, the more iron you build in your body, and that also starts poisoning your body. Right? So there are medicines in the market now. A lot of these children will be put on antibiotics on end and given other types of medicines to help them, to cut down infections that often when you got thalassemia, sickle cell, you might get. But sometimes parents don't understand why the blood transfusion has stopped, and they think that because the child is not having blood transfusion, they are not getting the right treatment. No, you can't. They may be saving yeah, and they may be saving your child. And also, the point is, if your child keep having crisis over crisis, like the pain is so severe all the time, we need to sort of take them and make sure that they are assessed properly, because here, like I said, the knowledge is not like in Ghana where everyone knows about sickle cell and they know what to do. Not all the doctors do know much about the sickle cell. So if you have got a doctor who doesn't know, you keep saying things to them and you don't think the treatment is right for your child or for yourself, you need to sort of ask for second opinion. Yeah? They are very good hospitals. I mean, I will say to people that, like, if you go to King's, for instance, they have got hemoglobinopathy section. King's Hospital, where you can get second opinion from there if you're from here. There are some places who have got very strong sickle cell centers who will actually look into what is happening in your body, what is happening to you, and tailor your care according to that. Your need. Instead of the blanket, if everyone has got sickle cell, they have to have that. They will look at how you're feeling, especially those who keep on having a crisis. Yeah? And also, it's really important that, I know we are here, we like to drink all these fizzy drinks, but water is very, very important. That the child or the individual drinks loads of water, because that water will help things to run through them very quickly and not build up. And if you have to, the person is having so much iron blood transfusion, then you've got to think about the food that they eat, not to eat all the greeny stuff that's got iron in it as well. You know,
so otherwise it becomes too much.
Too much, yeah, and
too much of everything
is bad. Yeah,
you don't eat greens. They tell us to eat greens, and you eat it. It's too much.
Yeah.
Don't take too much
vitamins. Then whatever. So sometimes, if the child is sickle cell is under treatment, they know the person is prone to have anemia. They will prescribe the right treatment for the child. There's no point in us also adding things to it and saying, oh, well, so-and-so said that the child had this iron tablet that helped the child. That child is different from your child, or that child is different from you. The child is different from that other child. So it's really important that we try and gauge the treatment that we are having. Because if someone has got, some of our elders, some of them have leg ulcers, and they don't know that because the person has got sickling factor. Sometimes some leg ulcers, people with sickle cell may develop leg ulcers. Sometimes.
Can you explain that?
Because of the oxygenation, and also you remember that I mentioned that the infections, they are prone to having infections. So if someone has got sickle cell, something cuts them. Just as you be very, very careful if your person is diabetic, the same way you have to be very, very careful when the person has got sickle cell, because that wound is not going to heal as quickly as someone who doesn't have sickle cell. And that is going to cause more problems for the person. And not taking, and I think that sometimes some of these young people say that when they are in hospital, people don't believe how much pain they are in. And I keep saying that, listen, you've got to tell them how much pain you are in, whether they believe it or not. The thing says that pain is what the patient says it is. I can't say you're not in pain because whatever. You need to stick to it and say to them how much pain you are, so that they can at least manage your pain. And because if you're in that much pain, it's not just because the sickle cell doesn't just affect just the joint, it affects people's eyes. Yeah, it affects some people affect their hearing. Sometimes it affects their heart, and if you're a man, it can give you continuous of erection for about 4 hours, which can be very, very painful because of the sickle cell. So it affects all the body parts. Yeah, but we don't often think in terms of that, and we think that, oh, it's only sickle cell, but that sickle cell person could be having a heart attack because of that a sickle cell. And I know a young boy who just 22 went on, can you imagine, went on a stag with his friends to Turkey and died. Just like that, just died. He says he was having chest pain, and they were saying, oh, well, it's not one of your...
Did he know that he had...
Yeah, he knew. All the friends knew. His cousin knew that he
was having
a crisis.
He had
A crisis, and that he died.
Took him for granted.
Took it for granted. I don't know what they were doing. By the time they got round to taking him to hospital, the poor boy died. So from here going on a celebration, ended up being a funeral. So if someone has got sickle cell, we've got to take it seriously when they are saying that they are in pain. And like I'm saying, that pain come in different shapes. There are some pains that you can manage at home. Yeah. Sometimes if you run them a warm bath, they lie in the warm bath, the warm bath can help and help with the pain. But it gets to a point that the pain is so severe that unbearable. They need to be in hospital, or they need to have stronger medication to combat that. But the most important thing is that we shouldn't just look at the crisis. If you've got sickle cell, you've got to look at the other aspect of your life to make sure that you eat well, you sleep well, and not take some pain that you have that is not the usual sickle cell pain. Not to take that for granted, because sickle cell affects all the body organs. Yeah, in the body. So you can't say that, oh, it's only sickle cell and my crisis doesn't involve me having severe backache, because it could be your kidneys. Yeah. So you need to get it checked, not say that, oh, it's not part of the sickle, I'm okay. And those are the dangers of sickle cell, because people get used to it, that they get to hospitals, people don't believe them, or they believe them, they don't take them serious. So it gets to a point that they also think, okay, if I say this, people may think that's I'm being too much and not say it. But it's really, really important, especially if you're a parent and you've got a child who's got sickle cell. The school needs to know. And you need to make sure that those children, the school doesn't leave the child for a long time before they have something to drink. Even if they have to have something to drink every 2 hours, especially when they are in nursery, for instance, every hour have something to drink. It's really important, because if we don't tell them, they don't know, right? They don't know what to do. And to tell them that, listen, in a very cold weather, everyone is playing out. It's not a good thing for my child to be playing out, because it will start them getting into crisis. And if in a very, very hot sun, not to allow them to be in the hot sun, because it can also start crisis in someone with sickle cell. So it's really, really important that we educate ourselves and know that, yes, 1 in 4 people might have it, but those 1 in 4, some of them may be traits who will not have. And all of us also, at least having their blood test to find out whether we are traits or because if you have got it, you know. For that, it's not difficult at all. If you got sickle cell, you know, because the pain will come at some point. You experience something that will let the doctors test you to know that you have got sickle cell. But those who've got traits who don't have any symptoms at all, those are the ones that we need to know, so that when you are getting into something, information is power. If you know, you can tell your doctor or anything you're going to do somewhere. You can tell someone that, listen, I've got sickle cell trait. I know that it doesn't affect me, so you need to look at that as well. Yeah, and also
what's the difference between the AS and the SS? If somebody's listening, they want to know about the AS and the SS.
Well, the AS means that the person has the AS and SS. There are 2 different types of sickle cell. Yeah, but they are all sickle cell. Yeah. And I think the SS and AS, the SS is much common than the AS. Yeah. And
the SS is the deadlier one, isn't it?
Well, all of them are serious. All of them are serious. But the SS people tend to be more anemic than the AS people anyway. But the point is, they are all sickle cell. If someone has got AS or SS, they are all got sickle cell. That means that one person inherited because the person inherited the SS will show the signs of that sickle cell, and they are the people that we need to sort of pay particular attention. They need to pay particular attention to themselves, because they affect your skin. Like I said, they affect every organ in your body. So you can't say that, oh, they only have pain in their joints, so this is not whatever. Because some people, they start seeing that they have got swelling in the lower extremities, and people don't often think about it as the symptoms. Symptoms of the sickle cell, because sometimes if it's not managed very well, you see the symptoms that people will have swollen extremities and can't walk, and some people they can't even hold their clutches because their joints, and not only the bigger joints that are painful. So because depending upon who and how affect that person makes it very, very difficult. That is why in this country, where they don't see many people with sickle cell, people don't quite understand how it works. That you see someone now in 5 minutes who was walking, who was walking and playing and doing whatever, then all of a sudden they are in so much pain that they can't even explain how much pain they are to you. And people try to question whether
it's pretense.
whether the person is pretending or whatever. So it's really, really important that we look at the sickle cell.
In a sense, our young people, of course, I'm saying our young people because obviously we've passed our generation. Some of us, if you're married, you want to get married.
You're married already.
So
have the children already.
Whatever will happen has happened already. But then going forward, looking at those people who are not married now, are young people, when you talk to them, they don't listen, or some people will not listen. But I think this is really a serious. These are serious issues, and young people need to take it into consideration. Specifically, go out of their way to ask for that.
Yeah, they need to ask for that, because in Ghana, I know that there was this research which was done by a group of people, and they did it in Ghana, and they were talking about the fact that now it has become a topic for public health, because it's a public health issue, and that people need to be talking. Because what it is, for me, the dangers is that, okay, I'm a trait, you get married to me. Genetic counseling, what does genetic counseling offer you? It offer you either your child is going to be sick, or you abort that baby. Do you want to get through that? Do you want? Yeah. You need to put love aside. Yeah. Do you need to go through that? And that is what I said, that the Jewish community has managed to sort of cut down the amount of people being born with a SARS, because they systematically, and with parents and with children and everyone, learn about it, and knowing that this can't happen because you have this child who is disabled and can't do anything on you, and you are having to look after this child. It's not the caring aspect, but it's the love that you have got for this child, and you're hoping that your child will be healthy, jumping up and down, and now you've got a sick child and you have to. So they managed to do that, and for us, that's what we also need to be looking at, that when we meet our partners, we need to look into that and see, yes, love is really important, but it's really important not for the two of you, because some people's marriages break down because they have a child with sickle cell. Because, yeah.
That's the case, then are we saying then that the young people, when they meet, the first thing they need to do is to do before courtship or anything, because what will be difficult is getting into the relationship down the line.
Yeah.
Like 2 years down the line.
Yeah, that would be difficult.
You're thinking about going to get, or you're thinking about getting married. Then you go for the sickle cell, then you realize you need to separate.
Yeah.
So maybe then, at the point where, at the beginning where you have to right from the beginning, where you meet and you know that you're going to get married, or you're looking at this is a serious relationship, that's when you then need to just have the test.
Yeah, I think that even before you get into a relationship, we are in Great Britain, no one is going to charge us for the test, so why not ask your GP for the test, that I need to know my sickling state. I come from an area where sickle cell is very, very common. So I need to know whether I have got, I know I don't have the full-blown sickle cell because I have not been having any crisis, but I need to know whether I have got a trait in sickle cell. The GP may say, why? He said, well, I want to make sure that I don't get into a relationship with someone who's got a trait just like myself, so that we don't. And that GP should understand that. Yeah. The GP doesn't even have to ask you why, because they know it's a public health issue that we need to all know whether we are trait or not, so that we can prevent having a child with sickle cell. Yeah. So I think for young people, it would be good for them to check for themselves. If you know it, that's good for yourself. It would be good to know. Yeah.
So even so, if somebody has something like a thalassemia trait, like alpha thalassemia, it's not as serious as because I know that there was a client that I had. He was having he has blood transfusion. One of the clients, he came from this Afghanistan. And then when he came, he was so pale and white, very pale, and we had to take him to hospital straight away because he needed that, and that's been ongoing for him. And so the medication and the blood transfusion, some people, like those with thalassemia, becomes part of their treatment line. So they always will have the blood transfusion. Those who got with the thalassemia. That's why I'm saying that next week perhaps we can elaborate on that, and then look at the difference between the sickle cell and the thalassemia also, because it's really, really important that if you are that person, you need to have that blood transfusion to live. And it's a living matter. It's not that, because if that person gets really, really anemic, that is when people get stroke out of being so anemic from it. So it becomes another matter. So it's really important that. And also, I mean, sometimes it might sound as if the doctors are bothering you so much when they tell you
maybe you had one appointment, then the following week you have to go in, you get checked up again. But it's really, really important just to keep you safe and to keep you safe. Not to say that, oh, well, I've been there, they did that and they didn't. And often, these days, if you have got sickle cell, you don't think that they are looking after you properly. Please ask for second opinion. Tell your GP, I want second opinion. I want to go to another area. I want to go to the London. I want to go to any of the teaching hospitals.
Yeah.
But research, look at them who's got hemoglobinopathy department, where they look at sickle cell very, very well.
And you can just ask the doctor to refer you.
You can ask the doctor. You have got the right to ask the doctor for a second opinion, and you want to go here for you to be seen. It's really important because especially with teenagers, for instance, because they don't like going to the GP, when they go there and they are in so much pain, I don't think they articulate very well what is wrong. And sometimes it gets missed, and then the person leaves the GP surgery just to have a serious crisis and then end up in hospital. And I think that they need to do something about it. If you know you have got sickle cell, you need to have a relationship with your GP one way or the other, so that they will listen to you and prevent you having so much crisis and then end up in hospital all the time. And perhaps there are other things they can do to support you when you are in crisis. But it's a difficult one because it's something that the society. I remember very well that this young woman coming to me because her child, which was 9 months old, they told her the child has got, I think the child was ill, admitted, and they told her the child has got sickle cell. And she came and said, but I'm not black. How come my child's got sickle cell? So there's a lot of ignorance around there. And I'm looking at her and I said to her that, listen, I've seen your mother and I've seen your grandmother. They are all mixed race. And you are mixed race as well. And these are areas where part of her family come from. So, and for her, part of her family came from, she was half Irish, half Cypriot. But their mother was half Caribbean and half Irish.
Right.
But she couldn't work out that because her mother and whatever. So when she got tested, so we had to cancel her to go to get tested, and she came out having a trait. Because there was no way I could have just said, well, because you also have got a trait. But at that point, she wasn't going to listen to anything because she needed to understand how come she's not black and she's got a trait. Her child has got whatever. So sometimes people don't understand why. And that's why it's really important for everyone to check for themselves that, oh, I've got a trait. And it can be a very good conversation to have with your future partner or whoever you are thinking about, that have they also done the test? Are they a trait? So that the two of you don't suffer. Because when you have got a child who is suffering, you will suffer as a parent as well with that child.
And it's unfair on the child as well to bring that on to a child who's coming to this world with such complications. So it's really important that we parents are responsible. It's just like those who have HIV. Now people get tested before they get married and all of that. So, and the woman, and for example, if the woman knows you have, at least you can have a child. It can be prevented. From the child can be prevented from getting HIV. So it's important that these tests are.
So it's really important because for me, the alternative is very, very cruel because I can't see myself being advised that you're pregnant, but the child has got sickle cell. So we are offering you termination. It's really horrendous to even think about that because you can't. I don't think anyone will be able to do that because this is this pregnancy that you wanted very much. The thing is that you say, oh, I'll have the child and be done with it. But then when you have the child will be going through all sorts
of problems.
All sorts of problems. So we need to sort of cut down on the amount of children these days we are having who have got sickle cell, because that's the only way that we can prevent people having the full sickle cell.
That's quite interesting. And what about, are there any precautions that people need to take, like those who are already suffering?
Yeah, if the person is already has got sickle cell, they need to know that when it's very, very cold, it's not good. So to protect themselves, wear jumpers, wear woolen stuff that will protect you from the severe cold. Also important that time to drink warm water, not very cold water. So eat healthily, exercise, because it's really good that not strenuous exercise, but just going for walks, for instance, is really, really good because it helps move the blood around quickly. It helps your joints, for instance, those who may have whatever. And also knowing the things that you do that will prevent you from getting any form of infection, for instance. Yeah, so I, for one, when they used to smoke in the pubs, workplace, when someone is leaving, they say, oh, we are going to this pub for lunch. I never used to go because I know that when I go there and I smell the smoke, I'll come back sneezing. Now I start getting cold.
Yeah.
So I think that everyone will know what triggers. Sometimes there are some things that will trigger that crisis in someone. So that person needs to know that and refrain from that. And also not shy away from telling people that I've got sickle cell. So these are things that I can do, especially if you are in employment. And your manager needs to understand what sickle cell is and how it affects you. So that when you have got crisis and you stay off work, it doesn't seem like, oh, every month she's going off sick. Yeah, and if every month you are having crisis, that means that whatever treatment you are on, you need to discuss it with someone who understands sickle cell and find out ways, because these days there are a lot of medicines in the market that is supposed to help people from not getting so much crisis. Getting to the crisis state. So talk to someone, but I will say to the person that let water be your friend, because when you're dehydrated, it starts the crisis very quickly. It's really important to be to drink more water. And if you feel the twinge that this is coming on, don't wait till the full blown before you take something. Try and take something, because sometimes you can stop it in the track. If you've eaten very well, if you've eaten well, you can take paracetamol, you can take brufen or something like that, just to sort of dampen down the pain, for instance. And some people, when they know and they start doing those things, if they are at home, they'll have a very warm bath just to soothe them. A little things like that can sort of prevent it becoming sort of full-blown, whatever. If you are in so much pain, then definitely you need to be in hospital. But for young people, that doesn't mean that if you can drive, get yourself into your own car. You can't drive when you are in that amount of pain. So if it means you have to call an ambulance, call ambulance. It doesn't matter. You need to get treatment for that.
So is there anything else that we need to know about this sickle cell?
I think that there are treatment for sickle cell, because these days, if someone has got sickle cell, now they are doing like bone marrow transfusion. Like people who've got cancer will have bone marrow transfusion. And the idea is that they strip you of everything, the bone marrow, they wash it clean, and then they inject new material into you, hoping that your body will take it and use it. And some people it works wonders, some people it doesn't take. And
so what happens if it doesn't take? By that time they've taken your own old one.
That means if it doesn't take, that means that your bone marrow has grown the old sickle
back. Okay, that's
so
fine then.
That's it. But the treatment to get to the bone marrow transplant, it's a very harsh treatment.
Yeah.
And that often, even with people in cancer, it kills them before they get to that stage. Because it's a very harsh regime where you have to be in a sterile field. Certain foods you can't eat. You have everyone that's coming, make sure that they don't have flu or anything. They strip you of your anything that protects you from catching infection before they introduce the new product into you. So even though it might sound so simple, it's not so simple, and not everyone takes that up, and it's quite intrusive, invasive, very, very invasive. That it's yes, if it takes and now you don't have the sickle cell again, that's okay. But after you've gone through that and your bone marrow still grows the sickle shape blood,
then what's the point?
So that is there. The new drugs that's in the market, there's plenty of them at the moment. I think only last year in US they got another new drug. So there are so many drugs these days that they can give to people to help them, right? And staying on the antibiotics that's given you. It cannot be taken for granted because you'll be prone to infection. That's why it's been given to you. So there's no point, and we all know that antibiotics, if they tell you to take antibiotics once a day for 3 months, if you take one a day for a week and then
you take, then you don't take it, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and also it will start you getting resistance to that antibiotic working in you. So when they say take it for 3 months, once a day, just take it so that you are protected from other infections. The other infections they are talking about, it's easy for you to get the flu. So it's things like that they are thinking. So the advice that if you've got sickle cell, when it comes to the winter time, you're supposed to have the injection, you're supposed to have your flu injection, you're supposed to have your pneumococcal injection. So there are a bunch of injections that you'll be offered by your GP. And don't say, well, no one is having it, I'm not having it, because it's just to protect you from getting crisis or getting any of those infections that will trigger the crisis in you as well. And especially men too, if you have got sickle cell and you keep having this erection, you need to talk to your doctor about it, because there are medicines these days that can stop that happening, because someone can have erection for 4 hours and it can be very, very painful. So they need to sort of take all those treatment out there. If you've got it,
so when you have the medication, does it not have the opposite effect then?
Well, everything you take in your body has got side effects. So it gets to a point. That's why some of them will be on certain medication for a while, then it will get changed. They give them different type of medicine just to make sure that they don't get, their body doesn't get used to it or react to that kind of medicine. But years ago, it used to be only one drug, but these days there are about 3 more drugs in the market that people can use. So it's not like in the olden days. But I would say that it's really important that you let that water be your friend. Don't go without drinking at least 2 liters of water in a day.
I just remembered I have to drink some water.
Yeah. Don't go forgetting that you have to have at least 2 liters a day of water. 3 liters the best. You need to drink it, especially on a hot summer's day. You need to drink enough fluid, because that fluid will stop you getting into crisis so easily. And if you can't walk, you're showing signs of swollen feet and sometimes breathlessness, you need to see your doctor and let them have a different treatment plan for you, because the side effects of the sickle cell, some people will have liver disease, they will have lung problems, they will have, like I said, that there is a chest pain that comes with sickle cell, that the person needs to know that chest pain. It's like you're having a heart attack that needs to be also monitored as well. So people need to be more aware of that.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Should we take a break? Yeah. Yeah, so we'll take a break. We've had a lot of I've learned a lot on this topic actually, and there are a few things I'll be talking to my GP about when I come away from here. I hope you do. You have to. So we're taking a break. Then we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stick with us. Thank you.
Of rooms, we had no right to come inside until we found the tomb. Now we are not alone, and from your gracious throne you gently call us home to enter in.
you have got sickle cell trait and you are pregnant, they would like to see your husband or partner as well to take the blood of that partner. Often our men tend to question that and say, why do they need to know me? But it's really important because they need to know whether there's a possibility of you having a child with sickle cell. That's why they want.
So let's go back again. If you're pregnant already.
Yeah.
So
when we do the blood test.
Yeah.
And then you're pregnant, you go in for your first blood test.
Yeah.
They test the blood.
Yeah.
Because you're African.
Yeah.
They will do the sickle. They will do electrophoresis on it as well to see whether you have got sickle cell.
Sickle cell.
So let's say you didn't know.
Okay.
So they will come and tell you that, oh, you have got a sickle cell trait. We are giving you an appointment to come, and next time you come, or they will give you another date to come with your husband to the clinic. We need to test your husband as well. And sometimes some of the men don't want to go because they're asking, why? You are pregnant. What's wrong? Why do they need to see me? I don't need to see the midwife. But the reason be that they want to know whether the child that you're carrying, there's a possibility that that child may have sickle cell.
It is something that can be prevented.
No, at that point, there's nothing that can be prevented.
So why do the test?
They're doing that so that they tell you if the child has got sickle cell or the child doesn't. If the child has got sickle cell, they will send you to genetic counseling.
Okay.
Where they will give you advice on what to do. So
whether to terminate or to keep the baby.
Keep the baby. But if you decide to keep the baby, what is there to support you and whatnot. So that will be one choice.
Yeah.
So if they find out that your husband doesn't have a trait, then they will say to the husband, they would say to you, okay, nothing will be done further. But if they find out the two of you have got traits, then definitely you will have genetic counseling. And it's up to you to take whatever decision that you want to take. Because, yes, we have children who've got sickle cell, they're fine, or they will suffer, but they are able to live their life successfully. So maybe you've decided that is what you're going to do. But that's why I was saying that before you get there, it's really important to sort of get something, check whether the two of you getting married are not carriers, said that you're not going to produce a child who has got sickle cell. But if you have the child, too, that maybe they didn't do the test, still the child is tested again when the child is born. They do the heel prick test and they check through the heel prick test. They will check also to see whether the child has got trait or has got sickle cell, so that they can give you the feedback on that as well. So, and but if, like, you know that you have got sickle cell disease and you are pregnant, you might need more support in doing that. It doesn't mean that if you have got sickle cell disease and your husband doesn't have any sickle cell trait, it doesn't mean that all your children are not going to have that, because you know you have to inherit one faulty gene from both parents to have the sickle cell. So even if the mother is the one who's got a faulty gene and the father doesn't have any faulty gene, then none of the children, they can be carriers, but they will not have the full-blown sickle cell.
Right.
So if mother or father has got sickle cell and their partner doesn't have any traits at all, then their children will not have sickle cell. They will have the trait, but they will not have a sickle cell.
Right.
But it's the ones who are carriers, the trait people, two trait people produces a child who's got sickle cell.
And so the children that we see that are severely ill, those ones are coming from parents who have who both have the trait. Right. Okay. Because I have seen children who've been very, very ill, severely ill. And most times this child is ill. Just because for those children, they don't live to a certain age.
I mean, if you look at back home, when they say that, oh, mommy, where do you deal woman, whatever, most of them is to do with the sickle cell.
Yeah.
Because the child is born with sickle cell and the child doesn't survive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could a child born with sickle cell also be just disabled? Because last time I was watching TV, I was watching some kind of advert. No, it wasn't an advert, but appeal on UTV or something like that. And it was asking about, it was talking about a woman who's got all of her children are disabled.
Yeah.
For that reason, the man has left, and in the community, this woman is being stigmatized, saying, "Oh, when you have children, all your children are disabled. All the children are disabled."
Could be sickle cell,
you know.
Yeah. It could be sickle
and she says, "Oh, I don't know why I've got that. I don't know what's happened. I've accepted my fate." In the area, people say point fingers at her, and you know it's very very sad.
I mean, in this research that I was talking about, I read it, and it was about Ghana, and I read something that made me so sad because in this modern day in Ghana, someone being tossed out of his house with his wife because he's got sickle cell. And
that is serious, yeah.
Sickle cell is not an infectious disease, so what is wrong? And later I read it, and the researcher is saying that, the person says that because he gets really ill, they are afraid that he may not be able to pay his rent. And I said, but wait, I mean, how can things like that? But so I can understand that when people pointing their fingers.
The whole community, all her children. I think she has 3 or 4 children.
Yeah.
And the oldest is about 28.
Yeah.
And another one, and the other one too, and the other one started also debilitating, going down, deteriorating. He's ill. He wasn't like that before, but as he grew into teenage years, it started off by 1 minute he's got joint problems, he's gone, and he couldn't walk at all.
Yeah.
And then the other one is started. It's so sad.
I mean, I think that what you're describing might not be even sickle
cell. That's what I'm saying.
It may be what they call AL, as in USA. That is a form of degenerative illness which affects. It's more common in men than women. But it starts with the child, and there are different types. There are different types in those category of degenerative. There are different types. There are some who will be okay till they hit teenage years, and then they start going down. Going down, and those things. Most of them, they are inheriting faulty genes from both parents. So the woman may not be showing any signs, but her children are inheriting something from her and the husband.
The husband is up and left her.
Isn't that the case? Because there's a case where a woman had a Down syndrome child, and the husband went to the hospital. This is a Nigerian man, and he says to the woman, "I don't know where you got this baby from. In my family, no one has got this." But Down syndrome has nothing to do with inheritance. It's a faulty gene that has happened, and it can happen anywhere. And the man left the woman in the hospital, and the woman had only been here not less than a year. We had to find somewhere for her to go because the man says she shouldn't come to that house with that child.
This is
people need education. Easy. Sometimes when you think about it, society, it's so easy for men to just say,
to get up and walk and leave the women to handle the situation. It's very, very sad.
What do you do?
Do you throw the child away? That's why we have also in the villages, you have some people take the children, and it's still happening, in some villages where they take the child and leave the child in the forest.
Yeah, I mean, especially those children with...
That's Down syndrome.
No, it's more of, what do you call it? Cerebral palsy. Because a child will exhibit signs that people are afraid of. Because a child will be like...
when they have the cerebral palsy,
and the way their hands go, whatever, people just assume. But I'm surprised that in this modern day we can still do that because this is old days when people didn't know and understand why that happened. Because I thought we are more enlightened than that to just go and leave a child in the bush and come home.
Deep in certain places it's still happening.
You should be arrested and prosecuted for killing a child. You know, this is the reason why I said we should go and start this safeguarding thing, you know. Because I get really, really angry when I hear things like that because you saved the child from getting enough oxygen. That's what the baby is. And when the baby was being delivered, that is why the child is behaving like that. So how dare you go and do human beings have animals as children? No. We have human beings give birth to human beings. So unfortunately, how can you think like that? You know? And these are the reasons why sometimes when we are in trouble, we don't want to tell anyone because of the judgments. Because like this woman,
the stigmatization. That's
because this woman, for instance, instead of people trying to help her. She's been seen as the cursed woman.
Exactly.
And no one wants to help her. Oh, she has only 6 children. But has anyone looked back to the families, especially her husband's family? What happens in that family? No one knows because they may not have it as serious as that. But this child, because maybe one of the parents was a carrier of that faulty gene. But these two people coming together meant that all the children they are having that problem.
And the guys find it easy to walk away. So he's gotten. I know somebody who had 2-3 children. 2 of them had sickle cell and serious one, and mostly, and there's a blame that and the woman does have, and woman is always ill as well, so she's the serious aspect of it as well. And then the guy and the guy's family is saying that you've gone and married somebody whose children are who's giving you sick children. So I think there's stigmatization there as well for us in our community.
There's stigmatization, but the point is people need to understand. And I always say, I mean, it's like when people say to you, and then the family, they say that. I remember the last time I was home, they said to this woman, she's only have 4 boys. And I said to the sister-in-law, I said, do you know that your brother gave her all 4 boys? It's not her. If the woman is having 5 girls, do you think it's a woman produces 5 girls? It's your brother who's giving the woman 5 girls. So please stop saying things like that. So it's those things that we don't understand. We think that you have had the baby. No, you are the incubator that carry the baby, but not all faults come from you.
But people don't understand, especially our community. That's why it's important to educate them. I know a family that had the woman had 8 children. Each time she had a boy, the boy died. But when she had a girl, the girl stayed. So there's something wrong that needs to be investigated. So all 4 of her boys died. She never, by the time she passed, she didn't have a boy, but she had 4 girls alive. So what was that all about? You know, and then it becomes a stigma as well.
Instead of people looking into what, because there are some illnesses that are more serious in boys and girls. So it's about looking at that woman and their partners going for genetic counseling and looking at where the problem is.
But saying that when looking at common issues like infertility, if a couple gets married and the baby hasn't arrived, who do they blame? Who do they blame? They will blame the woman first. She can't have children. Only for them to go to the hospital for tests and they realize that there's no problem with the woman. The problem is with the man. It's not accepted in our community that a man will have problems. So these are the things that we need to be educated about.
I think it's a societal thing. I don't even think here too they believe that whatever, but at least they have advanced. So now they can think about it in those terms. But I think there is something about us in our communities of understanding. And me saying this, we are all women, but then I am married to someone's brother, but I don't get on with my brother's wife because he's married to my brother. And sometimes I sit down there and thinking, what is wrong with us? You are married to someone that's his brother. So how come your brother is married?
How would you feel if you were being treated that way?
And I think those are the things that we have to, and all these problems stems from us women anyway, because most of the time is the Kumar who will come and say, how come you haven't had, or the mother-in-law who says, oh, how come you haven't had any children? And if you can't say, ask your son, otherwise that day you will be seen as being so disrespectful. And I'm not saying people should do that, but I think that we need to educate ourselves, and we need to understand that it takes two people to produce a child. And if that child comes out and there's a problem, it needs two people to solve that problem. It cannot be one person's fault. It cannot be one person's fault. Like this woman who has got sickle cell. If the husband didn't have a trait, her children wouldn't have had sickle cell in the first place, because everyone comes in with one. For the child that you have, and you, the woman, can't produce the two and say the man is won't produce anything. So the man also produces a faulty gene. That's why those children has got the sickle cell. But we always think that is because the mother has got sickle cell. No. She produced 140 genes. So
and the man also produced 140 genes.
To produce those children.
I mean, for me, what I'm taking home today is, one, the importance of getting all of us going in to get our annual checks. What is important, what is difficult is that for our young people, they don't go. You try to tell them that, it's been paid for, go for an annual checkup. They don't go, and it's important that as parents we continue to remind them and encourage them to go. That's number one. And the second thing is the ensuring that if you're about to have a procedure, make sure that they know about your state. Because for me, what is very, very worrying and scary for me is, as I said in the beginning, I have had about three surgeries in this country, and nobody has asked me. They've given me general anesthetic, and nobody asked me if my sickle cell status. Nobody. And up until the theater. So I don't understand. I don't know when they did it, unless they saw it on my records. And I do ask. Well, sometimes when you even want to ask for your blood group, people should know. We should know our blood group by heart. Everybody should know their blood group by heart. That's one thing. And as I said before, I know somebody who's just had an operation, and they didn't ask, and they gave her a full anesthetic. And he actually asked. He said, "Oh, is there any thalassemia?" And then the person said no. But that's it. If there's thalassemia, are you going to do it? At least you will know. What? Nobody made the effort to check or do it. And that is very well. So these doctors in this country, they do make mistakes as well. Sometimes we think that our brochure thing, everything is okay, but actually they do make a lot of mistakes that we need to be very mindful about. So if I'm taking anything away today, it's this, and I'm going to pursue it further. Encourage my children to go for their MOT. For me, I always go and do my MOT, and my husband always tells me, "Hey, doctor, the OT doctor." No, I'm not there. I always have to do what I have to do. So that is very, very useful. So I'm getting some questions here, but if you want to say something, then Uncle Sam is coming in with some.
Because I feel that we need to know, like you're saying, our status is really important that we know. If I know that, because it's about how much anesthesia that needs to be given and what mixture that needs to come in. Because if you've got someone, it works the same way that we have to think about it, that if someone is very, very large and they are going to anesthetize a person, they want to check their oxygen saturation, make sure that they don't harm them whilst they are put under. So the same way, they need to know our sickling state, so that if they know that I am got a trait or I have got sickle cell, then perhaps they've got to make sure that when they're giving me anesthesia, they give me the right amount and the right concentration of oxygen, because what we are talking about is a disease that stops the level of oxygen that
in the blood, in
the blood. So that they know the level of oxygen that they can give to you that will be safe for you to have. So I think that,
so it's important for us to know the basic stuff about us.
Yeah.
Your blood group, your sickle cell status. What else? You know, HIV status. One is different.
That one is different.
Yeah, but anything
me,
at all.
I think that if someone really is worried about their status about HIV, I would say don't go to your GP. I would say go to the GUM clinics and have it done there.
Yeah.
Because that place, they don't take, you can give a false name. Yeah, they don't, that information
it's confidential. Everybody treats it.
No one can access it by law.
Yeah.
No one can access that information from GUM clinic. So the reason why I advise people to go and have it at GUM clinic is that years ago, I don't know for now, that years ago, when you were going to buy a house, the mortgage people will write to your GP and they will ask you for consent. And you will consent that they can get your medical records. And some of the questions they used to ask the GPs was that, is this person HIV positive? The GP says no. And then they say, has the person ever requested for HIV positive HIV test? The GP might say yes or no. If yes, it meant that the insurance people used to take you as high risk. Right?
Just for asking.
So I feel that, I don't know whether they still do it, because I haven't applied for mortgage for a long time, but so I tell young people, go to GM, get your status, and be there. No one will ever know whether. So if you are HIV positive, then you can tell your GP. Then if they ask you a question, you answer. You know for sure, but you don't want to be penalized just for asking.
That's very important.
Just for asking. You don't want to be penalized just for asking. So
I mean, in summary, then what are the key things? For me, I'm saying that this is what I'm taking away. I think it's been a very educative topic, and maybe we could do further in terms of the thalassemia aspect of it. I would like to know more about alpha thalassemia, because I know someone who's been told that they have alpha thalassemia. And they're working around. They're really strong. They're just there. They're very sporty. They've got no issues whatsoever. So what does that mean?
We'll talk about that next week, and so broaden it out and then compare it with the sickle cell and whatever, because they tend to have similar symptoms, but they are kind of
different things. Because the alpha thalassemia, this person is not sick. They're just very sporty. They're going. Could it mean that they got the trait, which they have to look out for in future if they're getting a partner?
Okay. For me, I think the most important thing is that us understanding that sickle cell is something. It is an inherited disease, and once you've got it for life. There's no treatment for it. They will maintain it. And if you've got sickle cell, it's really important that you tell all your friends, so that when you are in crisis, they know that you are in crisis. They seek the right medical care for you. If even you are not even in crisis and you start like flu-like symptoms, don't wait around. See your doctor ASAP. If you phone the GP, said you tell them that I have got sickle cell, and therefore I need an emergency appointment to see the GP. If they say, oh, we can't get the GP, some of them now have got other centers that you can go to see a GP then and there, because you don't want to get into crisis before you go into hospital. That takes longer for you to get back on your feet. So it's about looking after yourself, and as parents as well. If you know your child got sickle cell, let the school know, and so that they can be and tell the school things that you don't think is good for your child. You're not going to wrap the child in cotton wool balls, but the school also needs to know that when they are saying that cold weather, we are all going to run on the pitch, they need to take serious. They need to think about it if it's safe to take that child out there to go and out in that cold weather. And
I'm getting a question here, which says, it says, what about how, the person says, how do parents work together to manage the sickness of children? Example, in emergencies or plan with school. I think as you answered the question, you said a few things there in terms of the importance of telling the school.
Telling the school.
And what about the parents working together?
The parents together needs to work together, because the point is, you have got a child who is ill, or you, the parent, is ill. You need to explain to your children or other people how it affects you, so that they will know the right thing to do. Like children, for instance, if you've got a child, especially the babies who can't verbalize, they will be crying and there's nothing you can do. And sometimes it's simple as massaging that baby a little bit, giving them warm bath, or if not warm bath, dipping the towel into warm water and wrapping the child up just to get a little bit warm onto the child, and making sure that you have got lot of fluid to give to the child, not cold water but warm water to drink. And I would say that even if you're giving them orange juice, let the water be warm and mix the orange juice with it and give it to the child. Not to give them very cold thing. It makes things worse for that child. Making sure that at that point that they are having a crisis, they rest, because it's more about resting so that they get over that phase. But if you find out that they are not getting over, the pain is not being relieved with the type of painkiller you have got, because when the child is having serious crisis, they need stronger painkillers, morphine-based painkillers. You may not have codeine at home to give to the child, so that means that you need to make the trip to the hospital. But the child needs to be reassured, because sometimes I find that when children are ill, their fathers panic more than their mothers.
I think so.
Yeah.
Some fathers can be a bit insensitive.
Yeah.
They can't feel anything.
They can't feel
anything.
But I think that in this case, the two of you need to work together.
Yeah.
Because if mother is going to get something for the child to eat, you, the father, can sit by the child, tell the child stories, especially read stories to the child, just to take the child's mind off the pain.
What about babies? You know, when a baby who has sickle cell, because that will be found out when they're born, isn't it?
They'll be found
How do we manage that? Because this baby, when the baby is in pain, they won't be able to talk. This child it's been identified that they have sickle cell.
Yeah, but when the baby has got sickle cell, as mothers, we all know different types of cries that baby have. If baby is hungry, there's a different cry from when baby is in pain. So you will know, you will sense that the baby is in pain
and is having
a crisis. So if I think the first time the baby will have crisis, you wouldn't know, because you haven't experienced that before. But you realize that the child is unconsolable. You try giving them the usual cowpaw, still the child is still unconsolable. Some will start running a little bit of fever. They will feel a little bit hot. So you then need to seek medical advice. But once they know the child has got sickle cell, because what we've got to understand is that sickle cell treatment is about maintenance, maintaining the person so that they don't, this pain doesn't kill them, so to speak. So it's about looking at different painkillers, different ways that you can manage it. And if it's a baby, they talk to you about giving them the warm bath. And if you can, just towel, not too hot so that you burn the child, but warm, and then wrap it around the baby to give the baby a little bit of comfort. But if you know your child has got sickle cell and they start crying unconsolably and you can't do anything, and sometimes when you move one limb, because I've seen a child that when you are lifting her up, she's okay, but if you mistakenly move one limb, then the child cries more. So you realize that if you haven't been doing anything to hurt the child's arm, then you know that that child is having crisis that needs serious medical attention. But most often, when you got crisis, what do? They give you water and they give you painkillers, which that's why I keep saying that it's really important that we drink that water. And if you're on painkillers, if you start having take the painkiller, don't let it rise to 100% before you start taking the painkiller, because then it will take you more painkillers to come down to zero. But when it was at 5 or 10 and you did something about it, it will be helping. And not expose yourself to the element too much. If it's too much, if it's very, very cold, it's not good for you. If it's too hot, it's not good for you. So you need to
have a balance
of the temperature. And some people, when they say they start feeling it, they take the painkiller, they do a little bit of exercise. It stop them, stop the pain escalating to another level. So it depends upon the person. They will tell them what they need to do.
Thank you very much. I think we will end here. I just want to thank all our viewers and our listeners for joining us today. I know Auntie Edubwensi and everyone else. I don't want to mention everybody's name, but Uncle Sam was with us as well, asking questions. And I want to say thank you very much, because not everybody wants their name mentioned. So thank you for joining us, and come again next week, same time, same place, with a different topic. I think next week we're going to elaborate on the thalassemia aspect of sickle cell, and we'll even speak more about sickle cell and try and differentiate between sickle cell and sickle cell thalassemia, so that we'll get. So tell somebody to tell somebody. Do you know anybody who's suffering and doesn't understand how they're being treated at the hospital and they have questions? Please join in, and if you want to come to the studio and talk to us as well, you're welcome to do so. Join us and let's just learn together. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you again next week. Thank you.